Incorporated.
All right, New Orleans, welcome. I hope you've enjoyed your Mardi Gras. This is the Jack Clegg Show, the Thursday morning edition. Listening to WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com. And if you want to be watching our show, hi there, hello. You can look on YouTube, the Jack Clegg Show, and enjoy. Our call-in number is 504-556-9696. Before you call, you might want to listen to the topics we're going to be discussing. Three of them, which are all interesting, thought-provoking, and actually astounding, I believe. Okay. The first one we're going to talk about, and we're not going to spend much time on it, is South Carolina. South Carolina has a death row like all other states do. Even states without capital punishment, they have people that are going to die in prison. But South Carolina has capital punishment. And there have been a lot of stories recently about people facing capital punishment. And for whatever reason, the Bureau of Prisons is attempting over and over again to make the killing of prisoners less painful, less painful, less painful. Drugs, other things, so forth and so on. But in South Carolina, the man apparently agreed to it. He's going to be shot, I think it's in about 3 weeks, by firing squad. I'm thinking, whoa, that's old school. My thoughts about capital punishment they vacillate. When I was younger, I was opposed to it. When I got older, I was open to it. Now that I'm older, I'm thinking we got to do something to convince people that those crimes are not worth it, that you'll be killed. I don't know which is worse, having a death penalty or having decades of living on death row, filing appeals for this and appeals for that. None of them rarely work, particularly if you're guilty. But and a few, not often, but a few criminals say, look, I'm not appealing anymore. I'm done. Just let's get it over with. I'll do it. So hearing that South Carolina is putting somebody before a firing squad, I read the article. I said, this is kind of interesting. It's old school, but they're going back to it. So that's one of the topics that you might want to discuss today. Another topic today is, I had to laugh. I just saw this article about 5 minutes ago. And I mentioned it to Patty. She made a copy of the article. I said, this is absolute proof of corruption. Nothing else. Okay. I'll read it to you. Huner Biden. Remember Huner Biden? Okay. He got deals with the government, all the bad stuff he did. He never had to spend a day in jail or pay any fines or anything, except he had to pay lawyers. Huner Biden requested Wednesday, this is last Wednesday. I'm sorry, it was yesterday. Sorry. That a federal judge dismiss his lawsuit against a former Trump aide, saying financial troubles barred him from continuing to litigate the case. All right. What was the case? Well, the case was against a Trump aide, a former Trump aide, who apparently, he claimed, looked at the information inside the laptop. This is a laptop he had given away or had given to the fellow who was the repairman at the computer store. But now when it became a big deal, he tried to sue everybody who looked at it, claiming that they had no right to. But the real story here is, now, to file this lawsuit, you got to get a lawyer. And there's two ways to get a lawyer if you're pursuing a lawsuit. One, you've got to come up with a retainer. That's usually the case, where you take the lawsuit, you bring it to the lawyer, at least the ideas of the lawsuit, bring it to the attention of the lawyer, and the lawyer will say, okay, I'll do it on an hourly basis. A big shot like Huner Biden, they'll charge $200-$300 an hour, piece of cake for that amount of money. Or we'll take a percentage. It's called a contingency fee. And if you can recover your lawsuit, you give maybe 30%, maybe 40% to the lawyer, and you get to keep the rest. So Hunter files this lawsuit. The article doesn't say whether he had it on a contingency fee or not. What it does say is that he requested a federal judge to dismiss the lawsuit, saying his financial troubles barred him from continuing to litigate the case. So what does that mean? Because I read the article to see whether it had any information about whether the lawyer was about to withdraw, and so he decided to drop his case. The lawyer would withdraw or have a right to withdraw if he had an hourly contract and Hunter wasn't paying it. But it doesn't say that here. It doesn't say that at all. It just says that Hunter's decided to do that. Now, it does, for those of you who think that we have a very active God and that he punishes those that are evil, I don't know. My grandmother, right? My grandmother would say, God will punish you. And there are generations of people who believe that. This is for them. Where was Hunter living? Any idea? No, recently. He was living in the Palisades area of California, and his house burned down. And now he's having trouble finding a place. So I think of my grandmother. What did you say? God will punish you for doing that. So he's lost his house. He's trying to get himself together, but he cannot pursue this lawsuit, which tells me that it was kind of dodgy in the first place anyway. But it also tells me that while his dad was president, he didn't have any trouble at all getting money. I don't know what his job was, but he certainly had lots of money. So far, I have not seen Trump go on the offensive against Biden or his son or others in a vindictive way. He's focused his attention on bigger and broader means of corruption, not just Biden. But if I'm wrong, please bring that to my attention. I haven't seen it yet. The third and probably most interesting story we're going to talk about is about an issue that came up over the last couple of days. And the media has been talking about it nonstop, and everyone is chatting about it, and I decided to do a deep dive on it. Okay. The story is that Donald Trump and the federal government, particularly the White House, was named a defendant by various entities, and we'll get to that in a minute, who claim that his efforts to stop the U.S. aid giveaways all over the world was wrong. And a federal judge ordered him to stop his freeze on that money. Oh my gosh. That's a big deal. And it went to the Supreme Court. When we get back from the break, we're going to tell you what happened, and we're going to talk about this because it's really fascinating. Jack Clegg Show. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Huck.
And this is Dave.
Please join us on Liberty or Lockdown on Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Be there.
Hi, this is Susan Berniker bringing you a new show, Health Connections, every Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. Doctors, researchers, authors, and more. Join me Wednesdays at 5 o'clock right here on WGSO 990 AM.
FBI, open up!
Just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible.
Tyranny in the USA.
We warned about this years ago.
I'm Tom Coates.
I'm Michelle Godin.
We're
Baldy and the Blonde. Wednesdays at 4 on WGSO. Follow us on X at Baldy Blonde.
That's not America!
Broadcasting from deep within the Louisiana Purchase, beneath spacious skies, overlooking the fruited plain, and smack dab in the land of the free. The American Ground Radio Program with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr, where freedom grows. Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr. Here on WGSO 990 AM.
This is Kate Delaney from America Tonight. The show kicks on at midnight, and I'm loving the overwhelming support in New Orleans. What a group of fantastic listeners here on WGSO 990 AM. Join me every morning to catch up on what I call the buzz in your backyard and mine. You'll hear some of the most interesting people on the planet from the world of business, politics, sports, and, well, just intriguing people with a story to tell. If you're around, give us a call. Don't worry, I'll spit out the number plenty of times on the air. Let's agree to meet at midnight right here on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans.
Hey, this is Christian Garrick. I'm excited about my new show on WGSO 990 AM, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. There are a lot of things going on in this country and in this city that are concerning. I'm your voice. You might be afraid to speak out for fear of cancel culture or losing your job. The Christian Garrick Show on WGSO is your platform, noon to 2, weekdays, right here on 990 AM WGSO.
Big Easy Pet Shop and Rescue is a nonprofit volunteer-run rescue. We provide adoption services and care for homeless animals across the New Orleans metro area. We also offer pet supplies and grooming services at our downtown and Marigny locations. The shops are located at 839 Spain Street and 513 Dumaine Street and are open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays and noon to 6 on Saturdays, noon to 5 on Sundays. We can be found on the web at BigEasyPetShop.com. Support local animals in need by shopping and adopting with Big Easy Animal Rescue.
Hey, fellow patriots, I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
We're the Jambalaya Boys from the Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya Show.
Join us Friday night at 5 to 6 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the Jack Clegg Show. This is the Thursday morning edition on WGSO 990 AM. And if you're watching on YouTube, how you doing? How's it going? All right. This next story is something we've been hearing about for days, and it's extraordinarily disappointing that the media has missed it. They got it all wrong. And we're going to set it all straight now. Okay. While there is an argument, and this is probably the one, well, when you're hearing the national news, this is what they're talking about. All right. President Trump said, look, we've got all of this information that Doge has already revealed of ridiculous giveaways all over the world. I'm going to issue a pause, stopping all the money until we find out what's going on. Okay, so he did. He issued that order, freezing all the money until we figure out what it is. Okay. Some individuals and nonprofits and other non-government organizations filed a lawsuit in the District of Columbia. All right. And the judge, they happened to get by happenstance. These are supposed to be random choices, but I practiced law a long time. Some jurisdictions, it's less random than others. Did I say that right? I think you know what I mean. Okay. Well, guess who got that case? Guess who got the case involving Donald Trump? A gentleman who had just been confirmed to the D.C. Circuit as a federal judge, 39 years old, not even 40, given a lifetime position. Not a U.S. citizen by birth. He is an Egyptian. Well, he calls himself an Egyptian American. He actually was born in Canada. I've been looking for the details. They say he's a naturalized citizen, but I haven't seen it. But it's been reported that he was. He went to college in Canada. He went to law school at Harvard. Most of his career, he's been involved in progressive, anti-police, civil rights work, both for the law firm he was at, and he's created various legal entities, programs for people who want to fight the government and particularly police departments. Okay, well, his name is Amir Ali. Okay. These individuals who were claiming that they were being put upon by the federal government's stopping of these contracts overseas to give U.S. aid, managed to convince Judge Ali that this was one of them and that President Trump didn't have the ability or the right to do it. And rather than me give you my opinion, I'm going to read to you what happened in the U.S. Supreme Court. And I'm going to read you the majority opinion, which is really short. Okay, because Judge Ali ordered a temporary restraining order and then put additional orders on the federal government, on the Trump administration. The first order was you have to pause your decision to stop all the U.S. aid. You can't do that. Number two, there was an order that all the payments due to anybody had to be made in 36 hours. Actually, less than 36 hours. It was on February 25th was the order. The order said you had to make all the payments by midnight on the 26th, the next day. All right. An emergency writ was taken to the U.S. Supreme Court, the circuit court, the appellate court for the D.C. Circuit dismissed it. It went up with hours to go in front of the Supreme Court. And Judge John Roberts issued an administrative stay. He said, wait, we can't, we're going to stay the district court order. Nothing's going to happen. Let us take a look at it. Okay. Now, before I read you this, I do have to tell you this, and this is my huge criticism. Mr. Ali became a judge on a 50-49 vote. The vote was, and confirmed him, on December 2nd of this year. I'm sorry, of 2024. That means, like what, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago? And this was after the election of Donald Trump. And clearly, this is one of the premier progressive lawyers that are out there. And we know there are many that are out there. Okay. The most important thing is, okay, let's just think about this for a minute. First of all, it was extremely difficult to find which contracts were at issue in front of Judge Ali. All contracts, because his order says everything, but it wasn't. You only have to, he can only order what's in front of him. Here are the contracts that Ali ordered to be fully paid out. Installation of new irrigation and water pumping stations in, guess which country? The Ukraine. Waterworks projects, these are upgrades, in Lagos, Nigeria. Medical equipment to be sent to Vietnam and Nepal. And measures to combat malaria in Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, and Ethiopia. All right. Let's go back to probably the most significant one. The installation of new irrigation and water pumping stations in Ukraine. What happened to their pumping stations? They got blowed up. They're in a war. Okay? No surprise. So this is the part that is unforgivable by this judge. Okay. Ordering the government to make the full payment to all these people is crazy. Why? Because nobody in the world has a construction contract that doesn't have what are called milestones. You do this, you get paid so much. You do this some more, you get paid more. You do this. Now, are we to believe this doesn't have this? This contract doesn't have this? If we are, this is really a problem. Okay, we're going to get back to the rest of it, and we're going to get back to what the majority, the 5-4 majority said, and the slapdown they gave to Judge Ali that nobody's talking about. He got slapped. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey, Mimi, we love Wednesdays, but we're moving to a new time.
Listen to He Said, She Said, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
As usual, we'll be discussing and debating the hot topics.
And taking your phone calls.
You can find out who's right. Of course, that's me.
No, wait, Jeff, I'm never wrong. Remember, happy wife, happy life.
So we'll have a lot to talk about on He Said, She Said.
Listen to the Crew of Crew Air, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
Right here on WGSO.
Hi, this is Rusty, owner of the Olive Branch Cafe. I'm excited about my new radio show, The Best Bank Hour, every Tuesday at 4. We'll be discussing people, places, events, and issues, all things Best Bank, every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Brought to you by the Olive Branch Cafe with locations in Marrero and Algiers. So join me every Tuesday at 4 p.m. for The Best Bank Hour, right here on WGSO 990.
Hey, this is BJ Russ. Make sure you join me every Saturday night for the Something to Say radio show right here on WGSO 990 AM. We'll be on from 7 to 8 p.m. We'll talk sports, music, movies, and pretty much anything in between. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM. That's the place to be. And don't forget that you can listen to us on WGSO.com and on the Mixlr app.
Got a passion for food? Chew on This is now serving up fresh flavors at a new time, Saturdays at 2 p.m. Don't miss a bite, only on WGSO or online at WGSO.com.
Hey, this is Drew Robinson. Join me on Saturday at noon for the Coach Rob Show on WGSO 990 and streaming on demand at WGSO.com.
Hey, New Orleans, my show is so fresh and cutting edge, you'll actually think you have a duty to put the community on at the crack of 6. And join us weekday mornings on the Mike Church Show. Live MAGA radio the way it should be.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Andrew Greenstein. If a new poll is any indication, Senator Bill Cassidy's re-election bid could be a tough one. A new poll by JMC Analytics commissioned by the John Fleming campaign shows the current state treasurer leading Cassidy by 13 points in the head-to-head matchup. JMC Analytics founder and president John Kuvion says the closed primary could create significant headwinds for Cassidy.
It's certainly a challenge that Dr. Cassidy has going into next year's Senate election.
is that rather than facing 100% of Louisiana voters, he's going to be facing a smaller subset of Republicans and independents.
Louisiana small business owners are urging legislators to address rising insurance costs in the upcoming legislative session. According to NFIB State Director Leah Long, lawsuit abuse is a major factor driving up insurance rates.
Bring more transparency to the process. Lawsuit abuse increases insurance costs, and that's something that we're dealing with. That's something everyone's dealing with. So that's kind of our main goal right now for the 2025 session.
LRN.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part, they accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback, I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Feeling the aches and pains of everyday life slowing you down? Introducing Blue Emu, America's #1 emu oil formula for pain relief. In a recent clinical trial, 91% of users saw improvement after using Blue Emu. Whether you're working hard, playing harder, or just staying active, Blue Emu penetrates deep to relieve joint and muscle pain fast. And best of all, you won't stink. Join the 91% who felt the difference. Find Blue Emu at your local retailer or online. Blue Emu works fast and you won't stink.
Yo, what's up, New Orleans? This is The Whistle.
And I'm Jay.
Join us every Thursday at 4 p.m. on WGSO AM 990.
And around the world, www.wgso.com.
For Only Good Vibes News Network, your source for positive information.
We're bringing you good news and good vibes.
Every Thursday at 4 p.m. on 990 AM WGSO New Orleans.
And streaming around the world on all your favorite devices at WGSO.com.
Get up early on Saturdays and talk LSU athletics with us. Tiger Rag Radio every Saturday morning, 5 to 7 on WGSO, the community voice of the Crescent City.
Chef Jamie Gwen here. Tune in for delicious conversation and let me feed your soul every Sunday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
Hey guys, this is Lisa Leonardi, the host of the new show Live with Lisa Unscripted, every Monday at 4 p.m. drive time here on WGSO.
Hi there, everybody. This is Jackie Gumbo, inviting you to join me each and every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. for Uncle Jackie's Gumbo. A little bit of this and a whole lot of that. Each and every Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. only on WGSO 990 AM New Orleans or WGSO.com. Bring your gumbo, baby. We're going to have us a blast.
Hey, this is Drew Robinson. I've been an entrepreneur, coach, and dad for over 30 years. I'm not sure what that makes me other than someone with a unique perspective on life. On the Coach Rob Show, we'll look at life's challenges and have some fun, looking through the lens of faith, family, and football. News of the week, sports, movies, and my guests. I hope you'll join me on the Coach Rob Show, Saturdays at noon on WGSO 990 and streaming on demand at WGSO.com.
Yes. All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the third segment of the Jack Clegg Show. This is our Thursday morning production. And we were talking about, in the midst of, what the media has portrayed as a district judge usurping the power of the federal government by entering into a nationwide injunction against the federal government. Okay, and those are very good criticisms. They're good. But as a lawyer, and those of you that are lawyers out there will agree, we focus on the case. We focus on what's before us, and we'll let the other people later make the huge policy considerations, and we do make policy considerations in our arguments as well, but usually it's the case before us. And in this case, the U.S. Supreme Court focused on the case before them, and that is, this district judge said that but all payments, everything had to be done, and essentially wiping out the freeze. Well, this is I'm reading to you from the Supreme Court, very short opinion. This is the opinion. Okay. On February 13th, the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia entered a temporary restraining order enjoining or stopping temporarily the government from enforcing directives pausing disbursements of foreign development assistance funds. What that meant was, okay, you have contracts to do certain things overseas, and you're supposed to make payments, and the government, Trump said, no, we're not going to do that right now. We're going to stop this while we're investigating. Okay. The present application does not challenge the government's obligation to follow that order, meaning Trump said, look, I'll do the order, but this makes no sense. Some more discussion, and here's the final holding. The court says we're going to send it back to the district court. The district court should clarify what obligations the government must fulfill to ensure compliance with the temporary restraining order. Read that again. The district court, when we send it back to them, should clarify what obligations the government must fulfill to ensure compliance with the temporary restraining order. Meaning, hey, pal, these are multiple contracts that are out there. They're all read differently. Many of them have milestones. When you make an order for the government to make payments on everything, that says nothing. Come on, man. This is simple. But this judge completely screwed it up because, in my opinion, Trump derangement syndrome got the worst of him. And it's like, how could you not consider that many of these contracts are pay as you go? Meaning, let's use this example, which I'm really fascinated about. Installation of new irrigation and water pumping stations in Ukraine. All right. Before we talk about the geography, let's just say it was the installation of new irrigation and water pumping stations in Louisiana. Okay. Does that mean we're supposed to pay the whole contract right now? Or how much have they done? Have they reached the first or second milestone? Did they get paid for those milestones already? So the damages become very, very minimal. Minimal. Okay? Now, maybe the contractors will say, well, I bought this heavy equipment to use this, and it's going to cost. Okay, fine. You can resolve that. But we're not going to go forward with the whole contract if I have a right of rescission. The other thing which is really important, and I want to know this, because I did much of my work was international work. I want to know, in that agreement, is there a forum selection clause? Meaning, if there's a dispute between the U.S. and the contractors in a deal going down in the Ukraine, where are we to resolve those disputes? In arbitration? In the Ukraine? In the United States? Southern District of New York or somewhere else? Not a word is said here. So we have a very inexperienced judge over his head with Trump derangement syndrome. Okay, I'm going to get onto this later, but we've had Matthew, who's been patiently holding on, maybe on the other phone talking to his brother Andrew. But Matthew, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I don't talk to my brother Andrew on the phone. I use a Ouija board.
Ah, good. Very spiritual of you. Yes.
Yes. So is this the case that everybody was freaking out about,
Yes.
saying Amy Coney Barrett
Yes.
betrayed us?
Yes.
So
yes. It's not a betrayal. And this, whoever was reviewing these things, tried to hit hot button issues that have nothing to do with this case. Now, there's a dissent. Oh, there's a strong dissent. The dissent goes towards structure. The dissent says this district judge didn't have the jurisdiction in this case, or he didn't prove he did. Yet he issues an order that stops the entire federal government from doing this particular action. Doesn't have the authority to do it. So that's one side. I put that aside for a minute. Put that aside. That's a policy consideration. You don't even need to get there. What this judge, what the 5 people who voted not to eliminate the temporary restraining order, what they did was tell the judge, what you gave us is crap. We don't know, nor does the federal government, nor does Trump know exactly what you're talking about. Are you saying that he's supposed to make all the payments? Okay, I'll repeat what they said. The district court should clarify what obligations the government must fulfill to ensure compliance with the temporary restraining order. Meaning, if you have this contract to build, what are they, irrigation canals and pumping stations in Ukraine, are you saying, Judge, we have to pay the contractor now before they've even finished? We don't even know if those are even going on. And who in the world, this is the part I want to know, where are these, what are they, the irrigation and water pumping stations in Ukraine? Where are they? Are they in the Donbass? Are they underneath Russian tanks right now? This is so insane.
Allowed to know.
Right. Right.
Apparently, one of the things that's been going on in this entire Ukraine conflict is with the death of Gonzo Lira at the hand of the Ukrainians.
Yes.
Great support for free press there.
Right.
Pictures cannot escape Ukraine without being censored by the Ukrainians, and they apparently censor everything, except they did smuggle out a picture of the brand new recruits in their handcuffs being led off to the front lines.
These are volunteers, right? The handcuffed volunteers.
They're ready to die for Ukraine. So we're not actually allowed to know where this pumping station would be allowed to go. As a matter of fact, if you smuggled your camera in there and you took a picture, probably it would be erased by the time you landed in London Heathrow Airport. And they would hand you a rifle, put you back on the plane, and send you off to die for Ukraine.
Well, and we could discuss the foolishness of any unaudited money sent into a war zone. Okay, and maybe initially,
war's a big business there.
Oh, it is.
I mean,
it's huge.
You can do all kinds of things.
It is.
And say that the paperwork was destroyed in a war.
Right. Right. But I'm fascinated, and I want to know. I want to see the I've been looking and looking and looking. I can't find the contract. You're a good deep diver. See if you can find a copy of that contract between USAID or the U.S. federal government and whoever is supposed to be building the irrigation and water pumping stations in Ukraine. I mean,
they don't even name the contractor?
It's not named. No. And so,
do they name the contractor in the case of the Nigerian one?
I don't think so. One is, well, it's the title is Department of State et al. Versus AIDS Vaccine Advocacy Coalition et al. So it's not listed there. But I got to run. Thanks for the call. Got to take a break. We'll be on the fourth session in only a moment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Huck, an active Christian who loves Louisiana. One of my goals is to bring Louisiana's education from 50th to number 1.
And I'm Dave. I'm not afraid of government bureaucrats. I fear God. Our rights and freedoms come from Him.
This is Liberty or Lockdown. Please join us on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
Hey, New Orleans, the wait is over. That who dat who wouldn't quit? Well, it's me, the King Dude, Mike Church, back on the radio airwaves that you know and love after 27 years of being away. I've only been back for a few weeks, but I've already spent more time in New Orleans than Mayor LaToya Barcelona. Or is that Mayor she's full of Bologna? Whatever. And remember that your mama was pro-life, darling, back when men were men and women didn't pretend to be men who run for Congress. Join me weekday mornings at 6. What have you got to lose that the Democrat Party hasn't already tried to steal from you?
Hi, this is Susan Berniker bringing you a new show, Health Connections, every Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. when we explore health from doctors, researchers, scientists, naturopaths, pharmacists, authors, fitness, and more. You'll be able to call in and ask your own health questions. So join me, Susan Berniker, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. right here on WGSO 990 AM with Health Connections.
I'm pet trendologist Charlotte Reed. Listen to the Pet Buzz airing every Saturday at 6 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
Don't get stuck in boring talk radio. Give it a much-needed splash of laughs and a little Southern Louisiana flavor with Implicit Bias Radio. I'm Kevon Bordelon. Join the crew and I each Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. as we give our thoughts on what's going down around the country. We'll crack open a fresh bottle of whiskey each week as we talk about what's swirling around in our heads and in the glasses. The Implicit Bias Radio Show, every Saturday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. on WGSO 990 AM.
WGSO 990 AM is the only locally owned and operated talk station in New Orleans. We feature 20 local hosts discussing a variety of topics. In an era when the daily newspaper is being discontinued and our competitors are out-of-state media conglomerates, we ask you, our listeners, to support local programming on a local station. To advertise or sponsor one of our great shows, contact me at jeff@WGSO.com or call 504-669-6076.
Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr here on WGSO 990 AM.
You might be afraid to speak out for fear of cancel culture or losing your job. Christian Garrick Show on WGSO is your platform. Noon to 2 weekdays right here on 990 AM WGSO.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Jack Clegg Show, the Thursday morning edition. And we're talking about the specifics, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds about the legal specifics, but a decision by a brand new judge, a 39-year-old, never been a judge before, handling a temporary restraining order request against the federal government, Trump and his team, ordering them to make all payments and all disbursements without knowing what the contracts say, without mentioning the contracts. And it is so mind-boggling to me. And I did a lot of contract work. So, I mean, that's a fundamental issue. And this judge just simply says, pay them all, make them all paid. Anyway, we have a caller on hold from the beautiful state of North Carolina, which I understand got some snow the other day. Is this Tawna?
Hey, Jack, it is. Yes, we did. We got a skiff. It's too cold.
Well, it's beautiful down here. You need to bring that guy Jay, and you need to come down here. That's all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Go out and do some fishing.
That's it. What's up for you today? What can I do for you?
I'm curious, and I appreciate that you have taken the time to explain what the Supreme Court's decision actually means.
Yes.
I'm curious about what is a performance bond? Does that have anything to do with this whole mess?
Well, it does. What a great question. Excellent. okay, when I have I have the money, okay, I'm going to pay you, Mr. Contractor, to do a job, whatever the job is. If it's in construction, and most of the time in construction, a lot of things can go wrong. Like your construction company, you might have 5 other projects going on at the same time, and you may not be able to finish this contract in time. Or the key people you have may quit and go to another company. And how do I, if I'm going to pay this money, how do I protect myself to make sure you perform the contract? I get a performance bond. Okay. And the performance bond makes sure that you do the work. If you don't do the work, they pay me. So the relevance here, and for those that may not have experience in this, the relevance here is, how did the United States enter a contract in the country of Ukraine, okay, to build something in Ukraine? Is there a performance bond? Is there any way there's protection for the United States to make sure these guys perform? The reason that's relevant is, if you're the judge and you're saying you need to pay, you need to pay, you need to pay, my question is, well, they haven't performed. Judge, they're supposed to have 90% of it done by, let's say, January 1. They didn't do it. And you're telling me I have to pay? So one of the problems with this case, however, one of the problems is we don't have details on the contracts. If we did, we'd be able to address those.
Okay. I have another question. I don't know if this is relevant as well. Back in the previous administration, when these ginormous bills were passed, would there be any information in those bills? Because they did list billions of dollars to be paying out. It goes back to COVID. And you couldn't go outside of your home with all the lockdowns in COVID, but there were places, I'm off the top of my head, I can't recall which they were, but nobody could even go and see it. One of them was an art museum, I believe. And it's just ludicrous to me, the amount of money that Doge is finding, and for these judges to just willy-nilly go out there and do this.
Well, I hate to say this, because when I was trained and as I learned, good judges make an effort to be objective. They put their political lives behind them, and they try to focus on the facts.
Okay.
The fact of this case is they didn't focus on the facts. If the Supreme Court has to train this judge, and I'm reading this sentence again, here's what Judge Roberts instructed Judge Ali, the brand new guy down at the DC Circuit. The district court should clarify what obligations the government must fulfill to ensure compliance with your temporary restraining order. If they can't know, how is the government supposed to know? How's Trump supposed to know? So this is a huge slapdown to this judge. It's huge. Now, and you're right. Most contracts, if they're done by good people. My question here is, and maybe there's a reason we don't see these contracts. Maybe we're so embarrassed by them. And here's another question which we didn't get to, but just where in Ukraine are they building these pumping stations and irrigations when there's a war still going on?
Exactly.
And why would you give someone money to build something that could be blown up tomorrow?
Right.
So there are many more questions than answers. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Call again sometime.
You're welcome.
All right, Tawna, thank you. Folks, how are we doing on time? We got 2 minutes left. Okay. So the big point that I was hoping to make on the show is this: the media has pretty much dropped the ball here. They're looking at, there is a dissent to this short opinion. There's a dissent, it's about 4 pages long, by Judge Alito. And his point, it's a good point. It's a great point. How can one district judge tie up all these contracts, make this order, when we don't even know if he has jurisdiction? How would a DC circuit have jurisdiction over a contract performed in the Ukraine? Where does that go? This is what I said. In my experience, and I have a lot of experience, if you have a contract to be performed outside the United States, okay, you can have, well, the contract should have a forum selection clause. That means if somebody's got a beef under the contract, you know where to go. It could be the Southern District of New York, many commercial disputes, that's the forum that's chosen. It could be arbitration. That is usually, when we're dealing with Europeans, that's the preferred method. If there's a fight about the money that goes or doesn't go. Okay. People are focusing on the fact that Trump made an order here, and they're not looking at the facts of this particular case. So we'll be addressing this. I don't think this is going to go away. Every step that Trump takes, we saw what happened 2 nights ago. Was that Monday night or Tuesday night? Was it Monday night? Monday night. We saw the nature of the beast that Trump is fighting with right now. And Trump enjoys it. I'm sorry to say, he's enjoying the fight. And they're not helping themselves at all. Anyway, thanks for listening to the show. Next Tuesday, we're going to have a guest from OSS. These are the guys you call rather than the police department when you have a traffic accident here in New Orleans. We're going to have an expert, the person who started that company, next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. Okay, folks, listen then. We'll call in Tuesday.
Now president and general manager. WGSO is a community-based radio station, a nonprofit, locally operated. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasizing local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, then we have some prime spots available for you. Take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
Tired of placing multiple calls to multiple vendors and getting the runaround? Turn to one resource who can get it done. Sir Speedy. We provide a wide spectrum of print, signs, and marketing services, all backed by more than 5 decades of experience. So when you need that new brochure, direct marketing campaign, or signage to promote your brand, give us a call at 504-586-9812 or visit us online at sirspeedyneworleans.com. Everything you need, one resource, Sir Speedy.
Hello, this